All right, hello. This week we are talking about cognitive bias and why we are prone to negative memory bias as adults with ADHD. And I'm going to explain what both of those are and exactly what we can do to fix them and have a better day every day. Confirmation bias is when we look for evidence to support our beliefs that we currently have. Now, that's fine to look for evidence to support our beliefs when they're positive and they're working for us. But when we have beliefs that are negative and aren't serving us and all we're looking for is evidence to that, then that's where we have a problem. Now, just to share a very kind of vulnerable example, a belief that I'm working on that I have been having a major confirmation bias where I'm looking for evidence to support that belief is I'm a bad mom. Now, is that true? No, it's not true. But that is something I was believing. And so because I was believing that, I was looking for all the evidence that I'm a bad mom, right? And so what does that get me? That gets me all these reasons that I'm a bad mom. And I'm not paying attention to any of the ways that I'm a good mom. And for those of you that are moms, and I know I get a lot of moms that follow my channel and follow my stuff with coaching, we are good and bad moms. But if we're only looking for evidence that we're bad, then that's all we're going to find. So what can we do when we have these unhelpful beliefs, like the example that I gave? We have to challenge our beliefs. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I do want to reiterate from other videos that beliefs are simply thoughts that we think over and over again on a loop is another way we can put it. Now, I put together a workbook called the Better Beliefs Workbook. And with that, you can uncover unhelpful beliefs, you can challenge unhelpful beliefs, and you can replace them with better beliefs. And it's called my Better Beliefs Workbook. And you can check out the link below to get that for free, okay? The second option I want to talk about is called equal airtime. Now, this is not about politics. You know, on radio and TV, they talk about giving equal airtime to one politician versus another. And that is not what we're talking about here. We are talking about equal airtime with our thoughts and our beliefs. Now, going back to the example above, I do this now. Before the I'm a bad mom thing was just a belief that I just took for granted. It was just there. It was just looping. And there's all kinds of reasons that that's there that don't really have anything to do with me, but that's another video. But just to keep it in the context of this video, I am giving equal airtime to the thought that I'm a bad mom because, and then I will bring in I'm a good mom because. And so I will give equal time to those two things. And another way we can put this is we'll have a thought and we can add the word and. So it might be something, I'm trying to think of something negative. It might be something like, I'm not very good at playing chess and I'm still learning. You know, that's probably not a great example, but there's one. So why do we have negative thoughts? It doesn't mean anything about us. One, our human brains are wired toward the negative to watch for danger. Two, our ADHD brains, if we have dealt with any kind of trauma as a child or stressful life events, and I mean really when you think about it, who hasn't, then we can have something called negative memory bias. And what that means is when we tend to look to the past, we will be biased to seeing it negatively. And I want to address trauma because that can be a big scary word. And if you have parents that were very loving and kind, then you think, oh, I couldn't have dealt with any kind of trauma, right? But I want to talk about big T trauma and little t trauma. And big T trauma is like those huge events where you were in danger, your life was in danger. The main thing with it is you felt a very serious bit of helplessness. And then little t trauma could be something as small as like a big move where maybe you left everything you knew, or divorce, or financial problems in the family. And so you can see how it's pretty easy to have trauma. And then we go back to that negative memory bias, and they said stressful life events. So it wasn't just trauma, also stressful life events. So it's almost like big T trauma, littler T trauma. And so I just wanted, because people can automatically dismiss themselves from this if they had parents that they felt were very good parents. And so I just wanted, or a childhood that they felt was very good and normal. And so I just wanted to address that. So what can we do about negative memory bias? Number one, our equal airtime that we talked about before, where when we're telling that story in our minds about what happened and how negative it was, we can take the same amount of time to tell the story in a different way. And the second, that leads right into the second part, rewriting the story. Now, anytime we have a memory, that is our perception of what happened. And we know that there can be two different people and they can take the same event and they can see it two completely different ways, right? It's because it's our perception about what happened and we are telling a story about that past event. And so that's what our memories always are. And that's why sometimes they're not exactly accurate. And we have full rights, and I give you complete permission, to take that event and rewrite it in such a way that it's a positive event. And that would take some work and it takes some awareness, of course. But what you can do now that you are aware of this, you can look back and see if, when you're thinking, pay attention and see if it's a negative story that you're telling. And you can tell that story in a new way that empowers you in that situation. So think back to something, I'll go back to the word trauma, but traumatic or something difficult in your past, and see how you're telling that story. And now how can you tell that story from a place of what you learned from it, how it made you who you are today? How can you tell that story from a place where you are empowered in that situation? In this week's video, I just wanted to kind of normalize our negative thinking that can happen, our negative beliefs. We all have it. It's part of being human. Welcome to the human race. As people with ADHD, I did want to bring up that negative memory bias that we can be geared towards. But there is something you can do about it. It's just having awareness. And in coaching, that's what we work on. We work on the awareness of your beliefs and your thoughts. If you would like to work with me one-on-one, check out the link below in the description and book a mini coaching session with me. It's free. It's 30 minutes. You just show up. If you want to bring something to work on, you can, or we can just figure out something together. Okay? Thank you for joining this week. I will see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.